So we last left off with me grinding up some Silent Legion gear. I found out that the rare that spawns here will often drop it. Now I say rare, the person is always here, but it's a different person every time. Sometimes it's a woman, sometimes it's a man, but they drop often with the Silent Legion gear. Now I checked on the wiki, they do not drop the helmet, but I can get the rest of the set, and that's what I do. I pretty much hang out here for several hours because I always would get the boots and the gloves, but the legs took a little bit longer, and of course the torso took even longer, and any extras that I got, well, I would give to my follower, of course. Now then, I do decide to fix up my fashionist a little bit, mixing up the look. I'm even going with the Silent Legion armor look for a little bit, and of course I've got the iconic hood. I try to use the Sumerian pants for a little bit to see how that would mesh well. The color is a little bit off, but unfortunately I can't use dyes in order to fix it, so we're gonna have to go with that for now. The goal for this video is to do two things. First, we're going to finish the Unnamed City, which has several bosses in it. And beyond that, we are also going to take on the Temple of Frost, which is all the way in the deep north. I know, we're going from the hottest part of the desert all the way to the coldest part of the north. Now, we're going to start here first, and it's actually kind of reminiscent because the Unnamed City back in like the early days of early access was the endgame. This was the hardest zone in the entire game. Of course, it is still relatively strong, and I think it's been buffed since then, but it's no longer the strongest area of the game. Either way, the first boss we're going to take on is the Red Mother, which is the largest red dragon, and around here are the smaller red dragons, but I avoided them and I took her out. She actually was not too hard. I do have to avoid her flames, but what's worse is that a sandstorm hit, and it was starting to turn nighttime too, so not only was it super dark, but as you see there, the sandstorm just crept up slowly, and I was also taking corruption damage, which is the purple ring that you see pulsating on the screen. So yeah, this was not that fun, but I do manage to take her out right on time. Of course, the sandstorm started chipping away a little bit at me, so once I was able to loot her, I did pick off the blue flaming torch, and I took off the fragment of power. I did also take her head, which even though I can't make a, mounted head out of it, it's still a trophy that I could put in a treasure chest or something. I found whatever little shelter I could, which happened to be this pillar. I don't know, it gave me the sheltered icon, so I figured I'm okay. Though my health was still draining, but it wasn't enough that I was gonna die, so I didn't worry too much about it. I still have a little bit of food and bandages left over, but I do have to keep what I can because there are a couple of bosses in this area that will still fuck me up even with the better armor that I have now acquired. Now the second boss that I go after is the giant snake. This one is not bad at all. Even with his poison damage, I didn't bring any antidote and I was completely fine. You do have to go into this area near the, I believe it was the War Maker, or not the Archivist, I think it was the War Maker just outside, and you've got a lot of smaller snakes, but once you clear them out, then you could take on the bigger snake. Even then, if there's the little snakes still left over, like you see those guys charging at me there, they hardly do any damage and they have like no health whatsoever, so I don't worry about them. I focused down the snake, and again, not too hard. Did poison me and my follower a little bit, but without antidote, we just, healed through it, and it eventually went away. Now, the next boss after that, again, is not too bad. We take on the White Bat. Now, this one is a little bit stronger than the White Bat in the Tower of the Bats. This one is a lot stronger. He is meant more for endgame, while the other one is meant more for early to mid-game, and you can clearly see it from the HP that he's got. But even then, his attacks don't really hit for much, so I was able to take him down fairly quickly. It took maybe like a minute or so with me and my follower chipping away at him, and him, doing his little swing attacks, but he doesn't do anything major, no big AoEs. I mean, he's got like a buffer, but again, not that bad. Just below the aviary is going to be another boss. Now, this is going to be one of the undead bosses. I think there are several of them throughout the Unnamed City. I'm only going to kill one for this challenge because they're all pretty much the same. Maybe they have a different weapon, but they're all just an undead boss. This one actually gave me a run for my money. Now, there's him right there. He's got the star metal sword and the armor, and he's also a lot larger than the other zombies. Now, the zombies were swarming us a little bit more than I had hoped for. Like, normally they're not bad on their own. Even, a couple of them rushing up at you, you can do a cleave attack and take them out, but with the amount that there were, and as you see, I took down many of them and they just kept coming, it was overwhelming me and overwhelming my follower. I ran up there, as you saw, to try to clear them off of my follower. Of course, it brought the boss straight to him, which was not a good idea, so I quickly pulled back off to try to clear them out and keep them away from my follower. But even then, after all of that, they do manage to bring him down, so I have to wait until I get an opening. Of course, I have to keep avoiding the boss, taking potions when I can. I did try to get my follower up at some point, but the boss ran up and interrupted me, so I pull back, I clear out another archer, and at some point I do manage to get just enough distance between me and the boss. I was able to pick back up my follower. I think he falls like one more time during this fight, but yeah, this was actually really crazy. I did not expect it to be as hard as it was. I actually have never had that much of an issue with these guys before, so it may have just been, you know, the amount of zombies that swarmed us, or maybe I just wasn't in the right headspace, but I don't know. I didn't die, so that's a good thing, but yeah, took me quite a while to take him down. Follower went down a couple times, but we do manage to defeat him. So after that, there is one more boss that I plan to take on, and that is going to be the Green Dragon. The Green Dragon is not too far, closer to the edge of the map. But first, on the way to the Green Dragon, there are these guys up here, these relic hunters. Now, most of them don't really drop anything of note, but occasionally you can find a rare that is wearing the Silent Legion armor, and they also have a chance to drop the Silent Legion gear. And I still needed another piece to complete my set, so I tested my luck, and I found the person wearing the Silent Legion gear and took them on. Of course, you also have zombies that will come and fight them too, and it becomes a 3 versus 3, but luckily they didn't have that much health, and even the person wearing the Silent Legion gear had less than 500 health, so just like 2 swings of the axe and they went down. Unfortunately, they didn't drop the piece that I needed, so after that I continued on to the Green Dragon. I do take down some of the smaller green dragons in the area just to clear them out before the fight itself, which they take a couple of hits and they die, as you saw that one right there, the little baby dragons. The big green dragon is really not that hard. I think out of the main big 3 dragons, this one is the easiest. It's got about the same HP as the red dragon, and it has the same moveset, but I don't know, for whatever reason, it just could be me. But I feel that the Green Dragon is definitely the easiest. Of course, this is pretty much following RuneScape logic, where the green is the easiest, followed by the blue, I guess, or the white in this case, and then by the red. I do believe the red is the most dangerous out of the 3 dragons here. But anyway, it just takes me less than a minute. She does knock me back a couple of times. I think her fire breath hits me once, but I survive. And that's while having corruption as well. Granted, I don't have a lot of corruption, but even then, that's still a reduction to my HP and my stamina pool, so I didn't want to have to... Now that that's done, that's pretty much the unnamed city. I've already visited the Archivist and the Warmaker back when I was still making the Keystone, so I'm not going to worry about that now since I've already done it, and been to the map room and everything. So before I head to the north, I do a few things. First, I do have to replenish my potions and Sumerian feasts, which we'll do on the way there, but also I grab a bunch of eggs in order to give to my follower, because all of these spare food that I had collected over my adventures, you know, to give to my follower for him to heal, they've all been pretty much used up at this point. So I give all the eggs to him as temporary food until we can get more, and we head up north to the Sumerian camps. Now, I still stick to the 2 that I've originally been to, because I know that they are safe from the dreaded disconnects and crashes. However, since this video, I have actually found out the reason for the crashes. Now, right there you see me, I'm looting just, you know, the food, and I'm looting the potions, anything that I can replenish my stock with, since, of course, I can't craft it myself. I am also going to be taking a second follower with me. I know I said earlier that I wasn't going to, you know, take more than 1 follower. I'm primarily doing this because I don't know if the Mounds of the Dead is going to keep crashing me me or not, and also I do want to start leveling up a second follower just in the event that Spinus does die. That way I have a backup. So I am bringing this one called Oscar Thunderhead with me, who is also a great ally if you have him. Now then, I do make my way to the Mounds of the Dead, and what I was saying before is the reason why I kept crashing in this area. I thought at first it was the game itself, because originally I kept getting pop-ups saying that, you know, certain graphics or certain something was missing, certain files were missing. That's why I tried validating my files, I tried reinstalling the game, I made sure I had no add-ons whatsoever at the time of testing this. Now I've got 2 add-ons, but that's beside the point. And I tried everything, but it kept giving me that pop-up, or it would just give me a crash log with basically code that was saying that something was happening with the graphics. Again, I considered it just to be this part of the game because it was only happening in Mounds of the Dead. There had to have been something wrong with this area of the game. Turns out, while that is partially true, it wasn't the game's fault. It was actually not my graphics card, but the driver. The graphics card itself, right now it's a 3050. I do plan on updating it very soon, so don't get on me about that. But it's completely fine. The graphics card is fine. The driver itself was corrupted. I don't know how that happened, but just updating it didn't fix. I actually had to completely uninstall the driver and do a fresh, clean install. After I did that, then my game started working. As you see, I am now in Mounds of the Dead. All of the rain is going on and it's turning nighttime, so this is when I actually bring out my brand new blue torch that I got from the dragon. All of these particle effects going on at the same time, yet no crashing. So that was the issue. It was the driver itself, and it took pretty much a day of troubleshooting until I could figure it out. But this is great because originally I was just gonna say fuck it and skip Mounds of the Dead for the challenge because of the technical issue, so I thought that was, you know, an excuse that would be acceptable if anything. But now that it's fixed, I can cross this off. I have now completed Mounds of the Dead. I went through every building. I even went through the outskirts, which was still crashing me at the time, before I fixed the issue. So I was able to do all of the other camps in the surrounding area that I wasn't able to do prior. Now then, Mounds of the Dead is finished. It is time to head up north to Temple of Frost. Now, running up to the Temple of Frost can be kind of tricky. More experienced players can definitely run past all of the creatures that try to kill you, but newer players might have a tougher time of it with all of the elk and mammoths and definitely the saber-toothed tigers that try killing you. And, you know, on the way there, I do get chased by a sideways running elk, which made me laugh. But also, something else happened that was brand new to me. Now, crossing over the frozen lake just up ahead, I did mention before that since the last time I played seriously, they added, I guess, events that could randomly happen in certain locations, and it happened to me here, which completely caught me off guard. As I'm halfway across the lake, a bunch of things kind of just spawn randomly. It's like some egg thing, and then a bunch of these locust dudes start attacking me. I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell? I've never seen this happen before. I think these guys are from the Isle of Sipta, but I'm not too sure. While I did play Isle of Sipta, and I played it for many hours, I actually never explored the majority of that place, especially because they added, you know, that whole new landmass in the southern area. I just kind of browsed through it, but I didn't actually play through it long term. So there are some creatures that I still, you know, have not seen, even with the playthroughs I've done of Sipta. So I'm definitely thinking that's where these guys are from, because definitely they are not from the Exiled lands. I've played through thousands of hours of the Exiled lands, and I can tell you I've not seen them before. Anyway, I did have to destroy the eggs in order to stop them from spawning, and some kind of queen locust spawned. I was able to take her out. Like, the event itself was not hard. It just, again, caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting it to happen. The only other time I've run into an event was one near the summoning place where some kind of warrior or summoner or somebody spawned, and in order to kill her, I had to kill these like totems that were spawning a shield around her. Once they were gone, then I was able to fight her like a mini boss, and I don't remember if she dropped anything or not, but that was a while ago as of, editing this versus seeing that happen. But yeah, that's the only ever time I've ever seen an event. It is really cool to see. I wish I had find more of them, but they're very rare apparently, according to what I've seen on the wiki. Anyway, I finally make it to the Temple of Frost. Now, it is extremely cold here, so you are going to want not only warming food, but warm gear. The gear that I have will suffice for right now, which is going to be the Sumerian gear that I switched to. It does give me cold resistance. I can't use the Silent Legion gear because it makes me cold. It has fire resistance, so the armor itself would make you colder. So the Sumerian gear I had to switch to. Luckily, I brought it on my follower, so I just swapped armor sets with him. So now he's wearing the Silent Legion armor because he is not affected by the cold, while I'm wearing his armor. But what he is affected by and what I'm affected by, as you see there, is the cold snap. The frost giants, every time they hit you, will give you a debuff called Cold Snap, which will automatically make it so you're frostbite or extremely cold, typically frostbite, and that will take damage from you, almost like a poison would. So there's not really any way to get around that other than just keep healing through it, eating warm food, and hoping that the debuff goes away quickly, and then eventually you warm yourself back up enough that you're not taking more damage. What's interesting is part of the dungeon itself actually has a spot where it's not as cold as just outside of the dungeon. I find it really weird, but also something that I think is a change or brand new is that there's a Black Yeti here. Again, I've been into this dungeon many times, and I've never seen a Black Yeti, so either it was because of the server I was on that they just didn't have a Black Yeti, or it was a change that happened within the last year or two of, from the last time I played the game seriously. I know I'm going to keep bringing that up, but damn, that again, I did not expect it. But that is also a good thing because that means that's another thing I could check off my list. There are a couple of other Black Yetis on the map, typically in the, frozen hillside areas that are almost to the edge of the map, but because one is here, I killed it right away, and now that's checked off my list, and I don't have to worry about it. But before we finish up, there's still one more thing that I need to do, and that is to defeat the Ice King, and he is up in this room up ahead. Now, I do have a fire out with me just to kind of warm me up a little bit faster, because I did go through a colder area of the map, and I had the frostbite from one of the enemy's cold snaps. Now, as I inch into the room after healing, of course, I tried just pulling him, but of course I forgot that he had guards on either side of the door. Luckily, my followers were able to keep his guards at bay while I fought him 1 versus 1. He's really not that hard because he's very slow, and he does have some AoE abilities, but because he is slow, you can roll away from them and never be hit. Now then, that is pretty much going to be the end of this episode. I defeated the Ice Giant, and thus the Frost Temple is crossed off my list. I also finished up all of the bosses in the Unnamed City, and we can cross that off. There's not much more left for me to do, but there is still plenty of dungeons left. So, I hope you liked this video and subscribe, because we are now going to be going into the Dagon dungeon next, along with a few other creatures that I still need to kill, such as the Demon Spider, and beyond that, eventually we will make our way to the War Maker. And beyond that, since, of editing this video, they've come out with a brand new update to Conan, the first one in, I think, over a year, and they've added a brand new dungeon to the game. From what I've heard from somebody on one of my Discords, it is actually pretty difficult, so we'll definitely be saving it for last, but we are going to be taking it on for this challenge. So until then, I will see you next time.